Welcome back to Bible Shorts, episode 66, The Son Who Raised a Rebellion. Now remember, we learned that David and Bathsheba had a son whom they named Solomon, who's going to be a very important king. But David also had a number of older sons by different wives than Bathsheba. Among them are David's oldest son, Amnon, and his third son, Absalom. Now, Absalom had a sister called Tamar, and there was huge trouble in the family when Ammon mistreated Absalom's sister, Tamar, very badly. And when Absalom found out what had happened to her, he plotted revenge. 2 years later, Absalom got his servants to get Amnon drunk and then murder him. King David mourned for many days for his son Amnon, his oldest son, whom he loved, as he loved all his children. Absalom fled north to the land of Geshur, where he hid for the next 3 years. He went there because his mother was the daughter of the king of Geshur. David, although longing to see Absalom again, could not forgive him. Finally, Joab, David's nephew and commander of David's armies, managed to talk David into letting Absalom come back to Jerusalem, though David refused to see Absalom for a long time. Eventually, Absalom was permitted to come to the palace. He bowed face down before his father, who then kissed him. Now, Absalom liked attention. He was extremely handsome and particularly proud of his long hair. Everyone praised him for his handsome appearance. And eventually he provided himself with a chariot and horses and 50 men to run ahead of him. He would get up early and stand by the side of the road leading to the city gate, and whenever anyone came with a complaint to be placed before the king for a decision, Absalom would call out to him, "What town are you from?" And if they would answer, "Your servant is one from one of the tribes of Israel," then Absalom would say, "Look, your claims are valid and proper, but there is no representative of the king to hear you." And Absalom would add, "Oh, if only I were appointed judge in the land, then everyone who has a complaint or case could come to me, and I would see that they receive justice." So in this way, Absalom became very popular with the people of Israel. And then finally, Absalom plotted to become king himself instead of his father David. Absalom went to his father, King David, and asked permission to go to Hebron to keep a promise he had made with God, to make a sacrifice to God for bringing him back from Geshur. David gave him permission to go. So Absalom and 200 guests who didn't know what was going to happen went to Hebron. Now remember, Hebron was where David was anointed king. What's this all about? Then when Absalom got to Hebron, he sent messengers to every part of Israel to announce, "As soon as you hear the trumpets, you will know that Absalom has been crowned in Hebron." And people started gathering to support Absalom's rebellion. A messenger soon arrived in Jerusalem to tell King David, "The hearts of the people of Israel are with Absalom." And then David said to all his officials who were with him in Jerusalem, "Come, we must flee, or none of us will escape from Absalom. We must leave immediately, or he will move quickly to overtake us and bring ruin on us and put the city to the sword." There was deep sadness in the city as the king and his retinue left. As they left Jerusalem and headed up the hill of the Mount of Olives, David's head was covered and his feet were bare, and he wept as he walked away. And the whole countryside wept aloud as they passed by as well. When Absalom arrived in Jerusalem, he wondered what to do next. But a secret supporter of David gave Absalom some bad advice. He told Absalom, "Oh, don't pursue David immediately. David is a great fighter, and there are many mighty warriors with him." So David and his officials and his loyal soldiers had time to make their escape across the Jordan River and head north. David went to the fortress of Mahanaim, where people brought him and his men food and provisions. David organized his army under the command of Joab and Abishai and Ittai the Gittite, and they three insisted David did not go into battle with them. Absalom and his troops advanced looking for David's army, and battle broke out when they found them in the forest of Ephraim. The battle raged throughout the forest, and many men were killed. And during the battle, Absalom came across some of David's troops and fled on a mule. As the mule went beneath the thick boughs of a great oak tree, Absalom's hair got caught in the branches, and his mule went on, leaving him dangling in the air. One of Joab's soldiers saw Absalom and told Joab, who asked, "Why did you not kill Absalom?" And the soldier replied, "We all heard the king say to you, 'For my sake, please don't hurt young Absalom.'" "Enough of this nonsense," Joab replied. And then he took 3 daggers and plunged them into the heart of Absalom as he dangled from the oak. Absalom's defeated men fled to their homes. A messenger came and told David, "Blessed be the Lord your God, who has destroyed the rebels who dared to stand against you." "What about young Absalom?" the king demanded. "Is he all right?" "May all your enemies be as that young man is," the messenger replied. Then the king burst into tears and went up to his room wailing, "My son, Absalom, my son, Absalom. If only I had died instead of you." "Oh, Absalom, my son," he cried. And as people heard of the king's deep grief for his son, the joy of victory was turned into deep sadness. Then David finally was able to return to Jerusalem to reign as king once more. So everything's going to be great now, right? Of course not. Some years later, guess what? Another of David's sons, a young man called Adonijah, decides he's going to steal the throne. Oh no. But this time, it's not Joab. It's Nathan and Bathsheba who come to the rescue. Look for Bible Shorts, episode 67. Didn't you promise me Solomon would be king?